The sea doesn't keep secrets, it buries them. And sometimes, if you are greedy enough or just plain unlucky, you end up digging up something that should have stayed in the cold, crushing darkness of the abyss. My name is Elias Thorne. I am the first mate of the St. Marie, a deep-sea trawler operating in the freezing, unforgiving waters of the North Atlantic, 300 miles off the coast of Iceland. Our crew is small, 6 men. We are used to hard labor, the smell of diesel and fish guts, and the constant swaying of the gray horizon. We don't scare easily. Storms, 30-foot waves, machinery accidents, that's just Tuesday for us. But what happened in the last 48 hours, that doesn't belong to any world I know. It started yesterday, at the end of our 3rd day at sea. The sonar was clean. There were no schools of fish nearby, but Captain Russo, a man who has fished these waters for 40 years and whom I have never seen smile, insisted that we drop the trawl net. "There is something big down there, Elias," he muttered, his eyes fixed on the empty green screen of the sonar. "I can feel it in my bones." I should have questioned him. I should have said it was a waste of fuel, but you don't argue with Russo when he gets that look in his eyes. We dropped the net. It descended for hundreds of meters, scraping the ocean floor where sunlight has never touched. When we started to haul it back up, the hydraulic winch screamed. The steel cables went taut, tight as violin strings about to snap. The entire ship listed heavily to starboard. "We're snagged on a rock," yelled Jenkins, our mechanic, grease covering his pale face. "Keep pulling," Captain Russo roared from the bridge. There was a fever in his eyes that I didn't like. The winch groaned, spewing smoke, but it gave way. The net rose slowly from the black depths.
When we brought it onto the deck, under the harsh yellow glare of the floodlights, we fell silent. There were no fish, not a single cod or haddock. The net was filled with a black, viscous slime that smelled like sulfur and something ancient, something rotting. And in the middle of the slime, there was the thing. It didn't look natural. It was about the size of a car engine. It was made of a dark, oily material that seemed to absorb the floodlights rather than reflect them. It wasn't metal. It wasn't stone. It looked wet. But the worst part was the shape. The object had no right angles. It was a mess of curves and spirals that defied geometry. Looking at it for too long made my eyes ache, as if my brain couldn't process its dimensions. There were carvings on the surface, symbols that looked like a mix of cuneiform writing and writhing tentacles. "What the hell is that?" asked Jenkins, taking a step back. Captain Russo came down from the bridge. He walked towards the thing as if in a trance. He took off his glove and touched the black surface. "It's warm," he whispered, "and it's vibrating." He was right. Even through my thick rubber boots, I could feel a low-frequency vibration coming from the object, a deep hum that I felt more in my teeth than in my ears.
I told the captain we should throw it back, that it was radioactive waste or something from a sunken military submarine. Russo looked at me. For the first time in 5 years working together, I saw fear in his eyes. But it wasn't fear of the object. It was an ecstatic fear, like a religious fanatic witnessing a terrible miracle. "No," he said, his voice raspy. "We were chosen to find this. Take it to the cargo hold." That was our death sentence. The first night was bad. The humming in the hold got louder. No one could sleep. The crew became irritable. Small arguments about food or shifts almost turned into knife fights. The air on the ship felt heavier, denser. And then the fog came. It wasn't a normal sea mist. It was thick, yellow, and sticky.
It covered the St. Marie completely. Visibility dropped to 0. The radar stopped working. The radio only hissed static. But sometimes, there seemed to be voices in the static. Gurgling voices, speaking a language full of hard consonants and clicking sounds. Captain Russo locked himself in his cabin with the old logbooks. I could hear him pacing back and forth, muttering, sometimes laughing. A dry, humorless laugh. This morning, Jenkins disappeared. We found his boots on the aft deck, neatly arranged at the edge of the railing. He had simply walked off into the yellow fog. No one heard a splash. The other 2 crew members, O'Connell and Laws, are in the mess hall. They don't speak. They just stare at nothing, rocking back and forth to the rhythm of that damn humming coming from the hold.
I'm the only one still trying to keep the ship running. I tried to change course, to head back to Iceland, but the compass is spinning wildly. I don't know where we are. I don't think we are in the North Atlantic anymore. The sea out there, when I can see through the fog, isn't gray. It's a sickly shade of dark green, and it's oily. The waves don't break, they just undulate, like the skin of something immense breathing. An hour ago, Captain Russo came out of his cabin. I was on the bridge, trying to get the radio to work. He walked in. I almost didn't recognize him. He had torn off his shirt. His chest and arms were covered in fresh cuts. He had used a fishing knife to carve into his own skin the same symbols that were on the artifact in the hold. Blood dripped down the designs, mixing with sweat. His eyes were pitch black, the pupils dilated until there was no iris left. "Elias," he said, and his voice wasn't his. It was deeper, resonant, as if coming from inside a well. "They are singing for us. Can't you hear it?" "Captain, we need help. Jenkins is gone. We need to..." He laughed, that same dry laugh. Jenkins was the first to understand. He went to join them in the sunken city. The stars are right, Elias. The seal is broken. He walked to the control panel. Before I could stop him, he pulled the lever for the ship's scuttling valves. "The St. Marie is the offering," he smiled, blood running down a cut on his cheek. "We are taking him back home." Warning sirens began to blare. Water was flooding the cargo hold. I fought him. Russo had a supernatural strength, the strength of a maniac. I had to use the pipe wrench that was on the wall. I hit him in the head. He fell, still smiling, staring at the ceiling as if he saw the sky opening up. The ship is sinking fast. The weight of that artifact in the hold seems to be pulling us down faster than normal. I am in the lifeboat now. I'm the only one. O'Connell and Lars didn't want to leave the mess hall. They were chanting along with the radio static when I left. The fog is lifting a little, and I wish it wasn't. I can see the St. Marie going down. The bow is almost vertical. The ship's lights flickered and died. But the sea around the sinking ship is glowing. Bioluminescent lights, a pale, sickly green, are rising from the depths. They had fish. They are shapes, vast shapes, larger than the ship itself. Cyclopean shadows moving beneath the oily surface.
I swear I saw something breach the surface near the sinking wreck. It looked like a claw, or maybe a tentacle, but covered in eyes. Eyes the size of windows, glowing with a cold, ancient intelligence. An intelligence that cares no more about us than we care about ants. The humming stopped. The ship is gone. I am alone in the lifeboat, floating in an ocean that shouldn't exist, under a sky where the stars look wrong. I have a flare gun, but I'm afraid to use it. I'm afraid that if I light up the darkness, something down there will notice that I'm still here. I look at the water and see the green lights deep down, moving, circling. And the worst part is that now that the artifact's humming has stopped, I can hear the music Captain Russo was talking about. It's coming from the water. It is beautiful and terrifying, and it is calling me to jump.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this nightmare, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. There are many more stories waiting in the dark. Sleep well, if you can.